$50 a month. So
Yeah, that definitely knocked it off.
that's right. That's right. All right, and we're back. Welcome to another episode of Corona Geek, here where we talk all about mobile app development using Corona SDK. I'm your host, Charles McKeever, and if you haven't had a chance to watch the previous Hangout where we talked with Crystal creator Dean Murphy, who is a longtime Corona SDK community member, you need to go over to youtube.com/coronageek, and you can watch that interview there. We've even broken it down into pieces, so I think there's like 6 or 7 episodes there where you can watch the whole thing in bite-sized pieces. So thanks for being here today. We've got Ed Marina from roaminggamer.com. We've got Sergey Lerg from spiralcodestudio.com, and joining us for the first time is Tom. Hey, Tom, thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here. All right, how are you guys doing? What's been going on? It feels like it's been a long time, even though I know we just got together last week.
It's been a whole week. Yeah, amazing.
It's been a whole 7 days.
It does feel like there's been a gap. It's probably because we didn't talk much last time, so.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe because we focused so much on content blockers and what Dean was doing and all that stuff like that. Yeah, maybe so. And it seemed like, for at least the last couple of weeks, that's all people have been talking about on all the tech shows and everything. It was a big uproar, so some interesting stuff. Well, I went recently to the Apple Store, to look at the iPhone 6s Plus. Have you guys ventured out to do any of that?
Not yet available.
Not yet available where you are. Okay, Ed, I know you're not really in that space, but I thought maybe you might even just go like curiosity look.
Nearest Apple Store is about 15 miles away, and not worth the trip right now.
Wow, I can't even drag Ed 15 miles to the nearest Apple Store. Okay.
Yeah, I just drive on 2 freeways, so forget about it.
Oh, well, forget about it. Yeah, exactly. Well, you're in the Pacific Northwest where they have beautiful trees and bears, so that might be a little.
It's just a hike through the woods. The grandmother's house we go. That's right.
Yeah, right. Well, I went and looked, and primarily looked because it's supposed to be twice as fast. The LTE is supposed to be fast. The Wi-Fi is supposed to be faster. The processor is supposed to be twice as fast. All other specs are supposed to be about the same. But I just wanted to I wanted to get a sense for the peak and the peak and pop. The 3D touch. And I like the 3D touch. I like the menu pieces, all that kind of stuff like that. It was a little. The haptic feedback, the thing vibrates every time that you initiate that. It was a little weird. So I think I would have to get used to that part. But apart from that, it's a beautiful phone. And if you're looking.
Interesting thing about Taptic Engine is that there is a topic that there's a hidden, undocumented API for the Taptic Engine, and you can make it vibrate with the intensity you want and with the duration you want. And I've recently made this plugin for Vibrate for Android, which has all these features, but on iOS there's only one simple vibrate that does just one thing, and it's practically useless. So I'm wondering if I make a plugin for Taptic Engine, will it stop working like in new version of iOS or something?
Yeah, I don't know. I did see someone make mention that. I think it was a Verge review that they suggested that maybe game developers might implement this as a new level of interaction. Today it's pretty much a tap or a double tap or a swipe or whatever, and you could, maybe force or 3D press and have your character do something entirely different. I don't know. I was kind of intrigued by the idea. I hadn't thought about it like that up to this point. I just thought it in terms of peaking and popping, but game developers will probably be able to get something really good out of it. Yeah, Ed's brain is churning now. He's thinking about it.
My brain was churning there. Well, I thought I heard you say the word haptic.
Well, I say haptic. Sergey's corrected. I think they call it taptic. But haptic is the common phrase, isn't it? I mean, that taptic's kind of a marketing word.
Feedback to your hand through vibration.
Isn't that what taptic is doing? It's really just sort of like buzzing
Is
at your
haptic
fingertips.
nothing more than their own naming of haptic?
I think so.
So haptic's like when your controller vibrates when you're playing a video
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, and taptic is when the watch buzzes, right? And
Okay, yeah. The
or
distinction
when
is
you
the watch is doing the movement. It's
In translation to Russian, haptic is literally tactic, like when you touch stuff, tactile sensation.
yeah. I get the feeling, I get the sensation it's a marketing thing that they decide to call it taptic because then it sounds something unique. When haptic is more of just
you
a
tap
generalized term.
and you get a haptic response immediately.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it makes
Like
sense.
that.
It's a
So
catchy little way of.
I'm sure that game developers will in fact start to use haptic feedback more. It makes sense, but I wonder about battery life and that kind of thing.
It shouldn't be much considered because it's not really hard. Because why motors are considered to be power eaters? Because they usually work constantly, like DC motors and stuff. This thing only vibrates for a portion of time, and its mass is not so big as well, so it won't eat up battery much.
I just imagine that creating motion takes more energy than displaying something.
Yeah, well, and that's probably where the taptic part comes in, right? They designed an engine for it as opposed to just sticking a battery powered motor in it. Yeah.
The main power eater is screen backlight, as always.
Well, I mean, I know that we're beating a dead horse here, so.
Well, that's
okay.
Sure yeah, I just want to bring it up. We can talk about it more on tomorrow night's hangout, but I think that it's a great feature. I want to see how game developers utilize it because I think it's going to be kind of cool.
Let's guess when Apple will introduce 3D surface on screen. Like when you move your finger on the screen, you can feel all the borders or the relief of the application of the UI.
You're talking about texture?
Yeah, not texture, but actual feel of the contours of if you draw
a texture that's created electronically.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
So, yeah, like a Braille.
Like a Braille.
Yeah, that's the first thing I think of is a Braille iPad.
I think it's going to be a while.
A few years ago, there was a prototype of a screen that can give you feedback of how it's called, friction. So it can change friction electronically. So when you move your finger, while you move, you can feel the borders of something. When you stop moving, you don't feel anything. But when you rub it, you can feel something. So this is interesting. So there is a way to go through. And like a year ago, there was a Apple patent for moving pixels. I think it was Apple or Microsoft. So they had a very basic picture for the patent when there's a screen and screen has some pillars, microscopic, that can raise up and down, something like that. So my guess is that we will see something like that by 2020.
Yeah, I'd say that's safe.
Things are moving so quickly. Yeah, 10 years ago, would we have imagined that we would be where we are right now? So I think you could be absolutely right.
I think you're being conservative, man. By 2020, we'll be jacking our iPhones into the back of our necks.
Yeah. Oh no, it'll be inductive.
Haptic feedback on the back of our skulls or something.
That's right. Well, I was telling somebody the other day that was like, we were talking about typing on the phone and stuff, and I was like, typing, man, that's old school, right? I mean, eventually it's just going to be natural conversational language with your device, and you won't even have to touch it, right? You'll just talk to it like you talk to a person. And then it'll respond, and then you'll just have a conversation with it, and you'll get the information that you need. And you probably won't even have to touch it. I mean, there's the point where you just what's the value of typing if the thing can understand and do all the things that you need it to do.
There's a saying, our generation calls a touch screen because it is a screen that you can touch. modern generation calls a touch screen just a screen because all screens are touchable, and screens that cannot be touched are broken.
That's a good one, yeah.
That's a long saying, pardon my French.
It is a long saying.
In Russian, or?
No, I saw it on Twitter for somebody.
That's a very good point, though. That just pretty much applies to all kinds of technology, new versus old, younger generation versus older generation.
Yeah, I agree.